Hi everyone! For our first lesson, we're going to learn about the most basic elements of art. Line. Line in art can control a viewer's eye. It can describe edges. It can also show movement. It has an endless number of uses in the creation of art. Art can show images of things you know, and also artworks that are abstract, which simply show color and, most importantly, line. Art has explored the use of line throughout time, and today we're going to practice our lines and create our own abstract art inspired by famous artists before us. You'll need a sheet of white paper, any size, a pencil with an eraser, crayons, any amount and any colors will do fine, watercolors, paintbrushes. I have 3 different sizes. See what you can find. A cup of water. To begin, I want to practice making some lines. Using my line reference sheet to help me, I'm going to try each one of them. I'll begin with a swirly line, some smaller, some larger. I just want to get a feel for how the lines move across the paper, like this big wavy line. Wavy lines can be big, they can be small, they can be tight, they can be short. There's no such thing as a wrong line. Zigzag, scalloped lines. Looking at my sheet, seeing if there's any that I missed. Oh yeah, how about just a straight line? But a straight line can go in a different direction, such as diagonal, horizontal, curved line. Make up your own lines. See if you can create your own and come up with its own name as well. Once I'm done practicing my lines, and I've made up my own, now I'm going to practice with my watercolors. Sometimes watercolors can be tricky. You've got to get the hang of it. So to begin, I'm just going to play around with some colors. I'm going to dip my brush in water first and swirl it around. Swirling is key. And just put it on the paper, just so I get a feel for how it flows. If I dip my brush in water, I can make the paint more see-through. More water equals a lighter color. Less water equals a darker color. So if you made something too dark, you can always just dip your brush in water. Other techniques are you can get the paper wet, then swirl your brush in a paint color and place it in the water. See how the paint just flows through the wetness? Change your brushes too if you have them. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush to see what I can do with it. Swirling it around. Notice I'm not smashing my brush into the pan. We want to be nice to our watercolors. And I can even draw with it. You can control the paint. Remember, you're the artist. The paint is not the artist. If I don't like something, I can just simply put some water over it and kind of smooth it over. Watercolors are meant to be layered. So after your painting dries, you can go back and add another layer of watercolor paint if you prefer. Here I'm trying to blend 2 colors. Notice how the red and the orange blend together? I'm blending it on my paper using a little bit of water. You can also mix it on the top of your lid if you have it. For example, I want to make a yellow-green. So I'm going to take some yellow, some green, and just combine them, and voila, I have my yellow-green. And if I don't like it, I can add a little bit more green and change it. This is your practice page, so experiment with different colors. I wanted to try to make my own version of purple, so I'm trying some red and blue. Do I like it? Not sure. See what colors you can come up with. I think I'm ready to begin. Since this is an abstract painting, I can create anything I want. So I'm going to start by picking my favorite line and make it go all the way across my paper. You can pick any line you want and you can make anything. But the goal is to practice our lines. We're not making pictures of people, we're making something abstract. So any shapes and any lines goes. That's the fun of art, is that you get to be your own artist and create anything from your imagination. I'm sort of inspired by the summer And I sort of see a sun here in the bottom right of my picture. Even though I didn't make a sun, sometimes abstract artwork makes our minds see pictures that we didn't even know were there. I'm going to put all my lines. Notice how a lot of my lines are not overlapping. That means placing one thing in front of the other. You can do that, but understand that when it goes to paint your picture, it might make things a little bit more complicated. You can even add some shapes. Why not? When you're happy with your picture, you're going to move on to using some crayons. Using my crayons, I'm going to outline each of my lines. Crayons are made of wax, and the wax will resist the paint. So when it is time to paint, the crayon lines will help act as a barrier from the paint from slipping out. Try it out. If you want to color some of your shapes in or your lines, go ahead too. I'm saving all of that for my painting though. You can use all the colors, or you can use some colors that you prefer. It could be all in shades of blue, or all in shades of green or red, or it could be a rainbow picture. And if you guys know Miss Crawford as much as I do, you guys know I love color. So I'm going to use every color in my box. Make sure you've outlined all your pencil lines with crayons before you move on to the next step. Last little details. And don't be afraid to use black. Even a white crayon works because when you go to paint over it, you'll still be able to see it. Now I'm ready for painting. Now this video is sped up a little bit, so take your time to fill in each shape. As I'm painting, I want to make sure that I'm not painting objects that are right next to each other. If I paint one area and then paint the other area next to it, the colors might accidentally mix. And that's not something I want right now in my project. So notice how I paint one area and then move to another area. This gives the watercolors time to dry. Watercolors dry pretty quickly too, so you don't have to wait too long. If you want to darken something, remember you can paint over it again. Just don't use so much water. I'm trying to find where I created shapes with my lines. This large zigzag line created almost like a sun shape in the corner. So I've decided to fill it in using my warm colors. See how I can just paint right over those dots? That's because I used crayons, and the crayons, being wax, resists paint, and they show right up. My goal is to get almost all of the white spots painted. But it's okay to leave a few areas white. After all, there is no white watercolor paint, and white is a color that we often use in art. So if there is an area that you want to be white, simply don't paint it. But I would suggest filling most of your painting in with colors. You can get this done probably in 1 day, 2 days, or some of you might take you a week. Depends on how fast you want to work. This being our first art project, I suggest you take it step by step. 1 day practice your lines, 1 day practice watercolor, 1 day draw your picture, 1 day paint your picture. This will allow you to have time to think about your choices and how to fix them, or how you want your final picture to look like. Whenever you begin an artwork, you want to close your eyes and imagine, what will the final picture look like? And then work your way to try to get to that final picture. Almost done. Looking for any last little spots. Woo! Looks great. When you're finished, don't forget to sign your name at the bottom corner. 2 little initials, EC, Elizabeth Crawford. And then upload your picture to Schoology so I can check out your awesome work. Great job, guys!